Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Aaron.
This is our show, Crypto Cosm, where I talk about how astrology affects the crypto market.
And I bring you more of that worldly crypto news.
So we had a friend reach out and bring up a little article here.
Dr. J, this one is for you, my friend. So you bring up an article in Reddit. Now, it was titled the Bitcoin Time Traveler from 2025. Wrote quite the article on what life is like in 25. Apparently, he is aware because he is sent back from the future. This sounds familiar. I think there was a movie about this. Sent back from the future to talk about how Bitcoin had destroyed the lives of many, et cetera, et cetera. So we just kind of wanted to run through some of the things that were said in this article. Let's just take the approach that, let's just say this was true for a minute.
Hundy P.
It was quite interesting. Now, there's been a lot of articles, so let's just real quick run through it. So, 2025, there's no more governments, there's no more central banks.
Sounds fine.
There's only a few rich people because Bitcoin apparently was the only currency that was worth anything
And all you
at
needed
that
was
time.
0.001 or something. Like, what was the number? Do we have that?
The average number of Bitcoin held per person by the average person is 0.003, which equates to about $3,000 US.
And that separated who was above ground to who was the colonies below ground?
That kind of sounds a lot like it is right now.
That sounds like Demolition Man, you know? And I just remember...
The sewer rats.
Yeah, eating rats and Taco Bell being like this gourmet. If you haven't seen Demolition Man, fantastic. Wesley Snipes in his heyday.
Wesley Snipes. This is
That's
good old
the
times.
baby.
So apparently at 2025, Bitcoin was worth $1 million.
A milli.
So that puts Bitcoin. Well, let's run through the rest of the history. So
Yeah.
the richest of the rich, all fled to Panama City and the cryptocurrency safe havens, guarded by drones. They named them citadels. They all had to protect their Bitcoins in vaults, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know why you need a vault to protect the Bitcoin because the Bitcoin is protected by the blockchain. So that was an interesting concept. It's not like
Stories
you
full of
actually
holes,
need
man.
to place your Bitcoin in an actual vault. That's old school. We don't need to do that anymore.
What do you
Time
remember
traveler.
what year the article was written? I don't recall that.
This was I don't.
I don't know what year the article
My
was
apologies. But I don't think that should matter in this case.
written. Yeah, I was just curious.
And so the rich of the rich are protected in their citadels. Everybody else is hiding their Bitcoin. Government
vaults.
officials are running through the woods and paying people off so they don't have to say anything. And there's four main competitors for what amasses of 500,000 Bitcoin. So that's the ASIC Miner Corporation, the IMF, the Saudis, and North Korea. So cumulatively, they have 500,000 Bitcoin. So that's quite a bit of money there. And then the rest is distributed. Now, another thing in the article that said there's only a few thousand Bitcoin that are actually lost. So they're currently in 2025 floating at 19 million Bitcoin, which probably sounds about right. So they probably calculated to do the math and figured out how many Bitcoins would have been released by then. But Bitcoin was worth $1 million. Now that would bring the total market cap of Bitcoin to $13 trillion. $13 trillion, which is more than 4 times the amount of M1 capital in the world. M1 capital being the money in your pockets and probably some of the money in bank accounts worldwide.
And now let's take a note that if this story is true, if this hypothetical time travel theory is true, because there is an alternate theory out there, a hypothesis that our mystery creator is one day going to pull out. So that would mean that never happened, right? Theoretically, that one of the fears, about the Bitcoin is the Bitcoin. It sounds like an old lady. I know how to use the Google, honey. About the Bitcoin is that if he pulls out, he could tank his own creation. It's like pull the plug on the whole thing, and we all. So don't want to dive too much in that. But if this time traveler's weary story were to be true, then
find Satoshi Nakamoto and have him tank
out.
it. And then you don't have to pull out your nuclear submarines and try and blow up every computer on the planet, which is what this story was leading to in the end. That was to avoid the nuclear holocaust, to get rid of everybody at war.
Now, what was interesting too about this article is it was heating people not to buy Bitcoin, but in a way that was like, because of how wealthy it can make you, which in the back of people's minds, like psychology-wise, is like, oh, well, I better buy more Bitcoin now so I don't end up being one of the
I gotta buy my ticket to the Citadel.
Exactly. So when I, without even digging into how many holes are in this story, and I'm going to start talking about the astrology of 2025 in a moment, but, to me, that's like, it's like a weird back way of this, like, a fun story to get people to buy.
To buy, yeah. If that was really well thought out and you have the capacity to time travel your Reddit message to the world, you would think you would probably be smarter in terms of sending the right kind of message that would be proactive to your cause, so to speak. And this was just kind of a fun episode to do and dive into some of these details because, you know what? You're probably not the only one asking, Dr. J. I mean, there are so many individuals out there that are reading this and going, oh my God, there's a lot of people that can get swept up in the hype and media and things surrounding this. I mean, that's what the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is all about. According to this, we should all at least have one Bitcoin and hold it to make sure we get a ticket to, this futuristic Disneyland.
Yeah.
Protected by drones, etc. But, it also talks about how Russia found out that places in Africa, the government was giving out free cell phones so that they could use Bitcoin and transact. And there was a fault with those cell phones. And then Russia had obtained 60% of the Africans' wealth. Well, the idea of Bitcoin being a decentralized in nature, having that government-controlled features and functions completely goes against Bitcoin and what Bitcoin was all about. Removing that central entity of control and single point of failure, so to speak. So in keeping up with what Bitcoin's, possibly what their truest intentions were for decentralization, and that could even speak to decentralized exchanges, decentralized, the idea is the same. Having that decentralized nature is you are more protected. So moving forward, was it a cry for help to get us to that more decentralized frame of mind to make sure we're doing these things in this decentralized nature to bring the power to the people and not to the few? So, what can we learn from this message, even if it was or was not true? It's an interesting concept. And yes, I mean, that's one of the things that personally that I believe in is the decentralization of the network, the peer-to-peer connection, the empowerment of the individual, not the central powers that surround it.
Right. To come off of this for like a quick second, but
Hit
talking,
me.
it was still about blockchain, still about crypto, and the idea of this, the peer-to-peer, and it was something that I'd seen recently. A friend of ours posted up that was talking about, when an individual local starts up a company, and how it's like support them and buy their product, even if it is a little bit more, for the sake of like. You can rush out or save to buy the celebrities, whatever. Michael Jordan's shoe. It's like, well, for what? And that's some of the stuff that's going to be happening in astrology here over the next few years, is really questioning why in the world do I value the Jordan shoe? It's a society thing. It's because, it's a status quo deal. Does that make you jump faster, higher? Probably not any more than a Fila or a K-Swiss or this off-brand over here. It doesn't matter, but it's, the hype of something.
It's going to challenge our paradigms of reality and how we perceive it, how we perceive value in and of itself.
Right. And honestly, all right, the story, for one, if he's saying some interesting things, but leaving out the most important details like names, who? He's talking about this dictator, but fails to mention a name of who this is. Why? And I mean, Nostradamus hit some pretty remarkable things back in the day. Even Edgar Cayce nailed some pretty crazy things. If you're familiar with the painter, artist Alex Gray, he painted a painting back in 1988 that showed two planes crashing into the Twin Towers that are on fire, and beneath that is a guy with a penis head in a suit, okay, like Dick Cheney, standing next to a guy that looks like George Bush, standing next to a guy that looks like Fidel Castro. And this is a painting in 1988. Now, Alex Gray's on some serious next level, connected to story stuff through his painting. You've never seen his stuff? Check him out. He's absolutely unbelievable.
Fantastic.
But the idea is he was tapped into this stuff and is able to paint something, and it's almost like this, he was able to see something that happened, and it's called Gaia. If you want to look at that painting, and it shows, I believe it's called Gaia, and the right side of the painting is just man's effect on nature, and it's messed up, and the left is just nature and its wholeness and beauty. It's a really
big
beautiful
flaming
painting.
tree in the middle. You can't miss it. Alex Gray, awesome. Google will get you there. It's
beautiful,
fantastic.
But it's just some of the most important details were left out of this particular message that would make the story sell. Which to me, that's why it's fun. I think it's a fun. Whoever did it, you should go be a writer in Hollywood. You should create some books, maybe the next L. Ron Hubbard, because that's what we need, another Scientology.
And also how it was written, there's a lot of the, just the words that were used is just the current words that are floating around YouTube and social media right now. You can tell he's an individual such as us in this community that is reading all of these things.
Product is environment. There's nothing that stood out that was different.
I mean, it doesn't resemble a mind frame of somebody that's in a barren wasteland, so to speak. It sounds like somebody that's sitting behind a desk reading social media all day long, nonstop.
Now, let's be fun here, and let's dive into some of the astrology of what's happening
in
the next few years, and what some of the fun stuff of. Well, I don't know if it's fun stuff, but it's just interesting aspects of the fact that he said 2025. So what's going to happen over the next couple of years here? We got 2020 is the big conjunction of Pluto and Saturn that we've been talking about since probably day one on the show, which is the new moon, that solar eclipse-ish, the conjunction, the new moon of Pluto and Saturn to what was the opposition, which happened on September 11th, 2001. So this has been, years in the making to create this boom that's going to happen. So if the full moon was the dip, if that opposition was the dip, this new moon here that's happening in Capricorn in the sign of government with these two heavy hitters is going to be the rise of this new, the rise of the new, okay? New government, new order. Now that's in 2020, and Jupiter's going to be up there as well, and Jupiter's that great magnifying glass of more. So we're creating a new government, and it's more. That's literally going to be all the talk of 2020 is going to be how we're creating our new government. And that has to do with finance as well, especially because Uranus is in Taurus, which is all about finances, about money, material possessions, and so in 2022, just 2 years after that, is America's Pluto return, which Pluto return, we've talked about it before, will never have a Pluto return. It takes 233 years to go around the sun. You'll never have it. But
it's a long time.
The fact that America does is it's like if this was America's birthday, a lot of astrologers say we'd be having some serious conversations because this chart needs work. It needs attention. This chart needs attention. That's stuff that we talk about. What's going on right now is
TLC,
right? And it's with the eclipse that's coming this Friday. Is it's focusing the attention on those What have you been neglecting? Let's clean, deep cleaning. Not only like our physical things, but our internal soul, our brain, how we're working and moving forward and whatnot.
That wouldn't have anything to do with the national debt clock, would it?
Well, on 2022, yes. I mean, because for one, it's like there's the question of, will America still be the number one, the supreme superpower that it is? Because it could be very easily drift into somebody else right now. There could be another world leader come 2022. Then 2024, all right, Pluto's going to move out of Capricorn into Aquarius. This is the dawn of Aquarius that songs have been sung about for years, right? So this is really what marks the new paradigm, the new shift, this new journey is the age of Aquarius, this 2024.
And for our viewers out there, define the age of Aquarius.
Well, we're talking about the community. Again, Pluto is the slowest moving planet. Thank you. It's the slowest moving planet. It takes about 18 years or so on its odd elliptical pattern to move through a sign. When it's in Aquarius, Aquarius is about the community. It's been in Capricorn, which is government and structure, since 2008. So when we're moving in the sign of a community, and when we talk about the bigger picture of things. Now, this is interesting. Let's, for a quick second here, astrology is not religious. There is some misconceptions about that. With the church, I will say that the Catholic Church supposedly has the largest amount, the Vatican has the largest amount of astrological books in the world. Okay.
They also have the largest telescope.
Right, and they're responsible for putting Galileo in prison for looking at the planets and the sun and the stars.
And that telescope's name is Satan, by the way. They're the eye of Satan. Fun fact. Sorry.
No, it's because there's interesting parallels. I think it's very important that it is not, under any circumstances, to be considered religious. I don't even consider it to be fortune telling. Like, that is not at all. It is no more than a meteorologist, saying it's going to rain. We're expecting rain. That's literally all it is, because of the precipitation, the humidity, and the natural occurring events that are going around us. And astrology is the same. So that being said, talking about religion, and we're talking about the age of Aquarius, since you asked, this is very interesting. So what this moves backward like the nodes does, like the ages. The eras move backwards. So it was what we're aware of beyond the burning of the Hall of Alexandria. We're aware of the age of Aries, or we're age of Taurus, Aries, Pisces, and now we're moving into Aquarius. So we're only familiar with these three and moving into this fourth. We're unfamiliar of the storybooks of the age of Gemini. So Taurus the bull. If you're religious, and when Moses came down with the templates. Mm-hmm. And they were worshiping the golden calf, the golden bull, which represented Taurus the bull, okay? And he got mad, he broke the templates, and he ordered them to burn and destroy the golden calf, the golden bull, which represented Taurus the bull. Why? Because he just got the new templates. We are now in the age of Aries. Aries is the ram's horn, right? First commandment, kind of, or the first what is it? The first Testament, excuse me, First Commandment, First Testament, right? So then time progresses, then we move into Pisces, the two fish, the ichthus, okay? Christ consciousness, that is the death and the resurrection of self, which is the baby, the infant, the wise old man or wise woman that sits on the mountain, the guru, the all-encompassing, that is of Pisces. So as we're going through these times, these stories reflect that, whether they're real, to be taken however you want to take them, and how they inspire and influence your life is
metaphorically speaking.
It's up to you, and it's beautiful however this touches you. But it's also important to look at how it is astrologically. So we've moved through the age of Pisces. We're moving through we're ending the age of Pisces right now, and we're seeing some really interesting stuff. And even it's a biblical quote: at the end of my day, at the end of my age, my era, there will be a man, a water bearer, follow him into the house. That's an actual quote from the Bible. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head. Leave it in the comments if you'd like, because it's really cool information when you start looking at astrology in the Bible. There's a ton of astrology in the Bible, right? So it's like we know we're coming into the age of Aquarius. We know we're coming to where the ending of this. Now, the interesting thing with me is because I have, a ton of friends that are super, super like really religious and whatnot, and we get into some of these conversations, which is really fun and expansive. So, there's been some like talk of, stuff happening in San Francisco about, keeping the Bible out of certain public places or whatnot, and just things that are happening within that, like the religious community right now. And it's like I'm referring in my brain to Moses coming down saying, destroy the golden calf. We're no longer in the age of Taurus. So when I'm seeing some of these things happening within Christianity in this world right now, this kind of an interesting new battle that's coming up, it's reminding me that, well, we're on path, we're on track right now because we're coming into this new age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius, we're moved beyond consciousness. Okay, when we're in community, we're getting out of our head, we're getting into community, hand in hand we cross the river. That's what we've been saying on the show for a long time. So it's about taking the proverbial walls down, like existentialism, like dismantling, taking the walls down of self, dismantling your own reality. But it's also like community. It's like Thanksgiving should be every day. You should be having your friends and family and food and all of this and being merry in this community, and crypto is part of that community. So when we have this story, which is again a fun story and it's cool to read, and hopefully it doesn't bring too much fear into people. If maybe its whole purpose was just to raise, get people to buy. But it's like the story is kind of the opposite of what the whole purpose of the crypto thing is about. And the last thing, I'll jump into 2025 here, is that's when Neptune finally leaves Pisces. So Neptune is its home planet of Pisces, which is dreams, expansiveness of dreams. And it's going to move into the sign of Aries. So when we're coming into the age of Aquarius here, when Pluto moves into, now we're transforming the community, transforming the grid, the power, which is going to be interesting as it's also our electrical system. So we're going to have a lot to look at,
smart cities,
power grids, and if you can, switching over to solar panels and solar power stuff, being conscious of our own power consumptions. And again, we have to figure out the mining thing because it's super hungry. So when that's that transforming of this, and then when Neptune leaves its expansive airiness, gaseousness in its home sign of Pisces and moves into Aries, the fire sign of self, of the first let's go, it's like nothing is going to stop my dreams. It's like I think 15 years maybe it's going to be in Aries. It's like, and then 18 years for Pluto. So it's new world order. Nothing is going to stop us from pushing through and creating our dreams, because our reality is for the community. And it's because, fire and air now. So we're here in water and earth, the creation of fire, and then it's new ideas forming, new ideas and building. And it's like, that's where we're headed. So 2025, is this new, we got a whole new world. Is it going to be flying cars and the friggin' Jetsons? I don't know about that, but...
We're getting to the self-driving cars, though. We're taking steps towards that direction.
Yeah.
And one of the last things that I think that I wanted to touch on for this article in general is that the cryptocurrencies that require an amount of money to mine and buy machines are going to be the most profitable. And if we have these incentive systems set up to mine, where it's always going to be we're going to have some lopsidedness. Because those with the most money can get the most machines, mine the most, and make the most money.
It's the gold rush all over again.
It's
1950 gold rush.
But we're almost moving past this point, and we know that the power-hungry mining machines aren't efficient. And with our smart grids, et cetera, and things like this, we're really going to find out what the damage we're causing here. So they say that the most stable cryptocurrency systems are going to be those that are miningless. We have things like IOTA in terms of when, let's say, Aaron and I make a transaction, we mine 2 other transactions in that process, and it's a machine miningless system. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 3rd, 4th generation blockchains are coming about. And what incentives are going to have for us in terms of being able to participate and not just, get machines set up to actually mine. And keeping in mind that right now, currently, there's 1,600 other coins. So BTC dominance, I mean, we're floating anywhere from 35 to 45%. It's somewhere in the middle right now. I'm going to guess it's 43.2, right around there. Bitcoin dominance. We have so many other coins out there that have value in terms of, well, you didn't speak about any of those. And it's going to be interesting to see. There was no mention of Lightning Network. There was no mention of any advancements. We know that Bitcoin can't support global economy yet.
Right.
There's no mention of how that was to be even happening to be considered the #1 world currency, because that's not even remotely insightly possible at this time.
Right.
So,
and you got some companies out there. You get some there's some good material out there too, and there's. I just read one the other day. It was like, Bitcoin couldn't be, but, Cardano could. And it was like this interesting about, I was like, but there's, I don't want to just highlight Cardano here because there's a lot of companies that say we could be the next currency, but this can't. Again, do some own research. But I think, that's probably a pretty good topic of something we'll talk about on the show coming up here is like, which one could actually be a real currency to use for our future.
Absolutely. And do we even need to have one?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Again, it's rubies and emeralds and sapphires and diamonds, except for the ones you get at De Beers. There's a value to all of these different things. There's a trade for all of these different things. If you're a mug maker and I'm a filmmaker or a photographer, it's a barter. This is a new barter system. There's value in everything. Hey, I'll take pictures of your product and I need mugs. We can do this for each other, So we're entering a whole new world of trade.
That's the thing. There's value in everything. We got to wrap it up here pretty quickly, but there's value in everything. And if you think of cryptocurrency as an augmented layer of reality, exposing all of the value everywhere on the planet. Think about that for a sec. A virtual layer of value that we can trade and use at our will, and value that we've never even seen before. It's going to unlock it in places that we don't even know about yet. It's going to be fantastic, the applications.
Right.
So, and Bitcoin is such a small little piece of this once we start unlocking all this value that we've never been exposed to before.
And then doing
really
that,
reaping the benefits. It's
and
going to
that
be amazing.
peer-to-peer thing, and again, being able to say oh, this is sweet. This is a local person made this mug. I didn't have to go to Hallmark or the big corporations anymore. It's like we can kind of put the power back into the people where it needs to be. The artists, the technicians, the creators, the entrepreneurs, you. Love it. Let's do it.
Excellent. It is your turn. Give us that true wisdom for the day.
This is the one. You don't need to be better than anyone else. You just need to be better than you used to be. Wayne Dyer. I like that a lot.
Good old Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit that little notification button down at the bottom of the screen so you guys don't miss a beat here on
Crypto Cosm.